Welcome everyone. My name is Shaba Mutsielwa. I welcome today, the day when we have level 3. To be more formal, I'm from the speaker's firm. Welcome for choosing to be here, and thank you for joining the Empower Entrepreneurs Digital Conversations, a COVID-19 discussion hosted by EmpowerWorks. A special welcome to our keynote speaker, Mr. Bonsai Shongwe. He's a speaker, an author, and an entrepreneur. We have a broad representation of stakeholders joining us directly via Zoom, and they will post their questions on the chat box. At the end of the keynote, we will respond to as many of the questions posted as possible. To get a direct invite to the talks, please send your details to WhatsApp number 082 088 5262. You can also visit the EmpowerWorks website, www.empowerworks.co.za, where you can also get information about Empower Men, Empower Women, Empower Youth, Speakers Firm, Leadership Summits, and other events. We are live on the following EmpowerWorks digital platforms: YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and the hashtag that we've been following for these conversations is Empower Entrepreneurs. COVID-19 has changed the world. Today, we mark the start of level 3. I quote, "Nobody can use another person's teeth to smile." End of quote. The Kalenjin of Kenya have a proverb that advises who want to take care of their own business. I guess entrepreneurs smile a lot then. Tell us about your smile, Mr. Bonsai Shongwe.
My smile has 32 pure white teeth. Thank you for the invitation. It's a privilege for me to be part of the Empower Entrepreneurs Digital Conversations. So I need to say thanks to EmpowerWorks and the speakers firm. I think I'm just going to share a few pointers from my personal story, and especially now that we're starting this level today. We were talking earlier with Chava that we haven't yet studied exactly what level 3 means. What we do know is that you can buy alcohol now, and the queues have been long, but we are in interesting times. We are in really, really interesting times. And I think for entrepreneurs, we are in wonderful times. We are in wonderful times because the world and our country, our province, our city is busy pressing a big fat reset button. And what that means is that there's virgin ground that will emerge out of this. And I don't even want to say will emerge out of this, because many times we postpone life and we start getting into this thing of thinking that life is what will happen when we hit level 0. But life is what's happening right now. Life is what happens while you are planning what you'll do when life starts. That's life. Life is now while we are in level 3. And the reset button has already been pressed. Whoever was leading, we're not sure if they're leading anymore. Whoever was the underdog, we're not sure if they are the underdog anymore. And I think these are the times that entrepreneurs are born. I have worked and functioned as an entrepreneur most of my life. My entrepreneurial career began with me sleeping in a piano room. My entrepreneurial career didn't start with a laptop and putting together a business plan. All I had, or rather all I didn't have, was no place to sleep. My family had just gone through many challenges. I was studying a music degree now. First, I was studying chemical engineering, and long story, but I went to study music. And then family went through issues, and very soon I didn't have money for res. I had to choose to either complete my degree or have a place to stay. So I had to complete my music qualification, have no place to stay. So I had to steal a piano room. Piano room is about 2 meters wide, maybe a 2x2 room with a piano. And so I would have to go pretend to be rehearsing until about 5, then close my door and rehearse softly so that if they open my door, they catch me rehearsing. But I'm hoping they don't open my door so that as soon as I can hear everything locked up, I pull out all of my clothes out of the bag, put them in the room, and lie down. And that's where my entrepreneurial career started. Now, someone would say, what's that to do with entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship, I must say, in my view, is 95% attitude. Entrepreneurship is 95% attitude and 5%, maybe 3% work and 2% knowledge. Entrepreneurs are not made in the head, they're made in the heart. They are the people who can be in a tough situation and still accept responsibility for outcomes. They're the people who will be sleeping, literally living homeless, and will be lying down there and will be on a piece of paper saying, I'm going to sell millions of records. This is how I'm going to go about it. This is how I'm going to do it. Homeless. Now, this is the time when I was supposed to be bitter with parents, bitter about life, bitter about all the things that have turned wrong. And at that point, I was accepting responsibility. I knew exactly what I'm going to build. I knew the exact steps I was going to take. And as I sit here, I am exactly on that plan that was clear to me in that piano room then. And so, because I accepted responsibility. And no matter what happened and no matter where I was, I refused to stop dreaming. I refused to stop dreaming. And I think there's so many things that we can say about entrepreneurship, but the bottom line is right here. Are you able to maintain a positive attitude in trying times? Are you able to keep dreaming when it seems like you now belong in a mental intervention of some kind because you feel like I think I've lost my mind? And can you dream beyond that point? Because that's what entrepreneurship is all about. Can you accept responsibility? Can you say if it's to be, it's up to me? Can you keep dreaming when you are homeless? Can you keep dreaming when it's lockdown? Can you keep dreaming when you don't know how this is going to work anymore because everything has changed? And so I remember I had two friends while I was in school. The first one was a musician, and we would spend hours in the studio. So if I couldn't sleep in the piano room, and you couldn't do it every day, but we would take time and go to studio and ask to do some work after hours. But we knew what that meant is we will work till the morning. And sometimes you may be really exhausted at 5 a.m., then you'll sleep in the studio there. And that was a portion of my schooling. Homeless, pushing a dream, still accepting responsibility for outcomes, still believing we'll accomplish something. And there's another friend, his name is Ray. He's a pastor in East London. I remember part of my homelessness then, he also had issues, and then I remember we even moved in with his uncle. Okay, now people are gonna know, but I was literally, he snuck me into a family situation. And I sort of lived with him and his uncle. His uncle eventually found out, but long story. But I remember we used to walk late nights in Pretoria. It was safe then, even for ladies that we were walking at 3 a.m. We'd walk. Now, two boys with family issues don't have enough money for, we had to calculate. If we buy hot cross buns today, tomorrow we buy something else. And I remember we'd walk with him late at night and we'd be going, yeah, man, we're going to be speaking on the largest stages in the country. And when I was with my classmate, Don, we'd be in the studio and dream, man, dream. I'd be telling him, man, we're going to have posters with gold plaques. I never even took my gold plaques. Long story short, by 2010, I have spoken on every major stage in South Africa as an inspirational speaker. I remember then, some of these venues were not up yet, but I had covered every single venue. So if you say a venue in South Africa, I've been on that stage and given a motivational talk, right? Whether it's Ellis Park, Standard Bank Arena, the Dome, Theatre on the Track, ICC, and all dreamt up while a homeless boy in school. And so entrepreneurs, more than anything, are dreamers. They are dreamers. And so by 2010, when I closed down my music company, I then came out of school. I worked as a sound engineer. And then a sound engineer is the guy is the lowest, is the scum of the earth in the music industry on the technical side, right? Because he's just the guy, he's got a producer telling him to put up a volume or put it down, and he doesn't agree with the producer, but what do you do? He's the guy that, he must go buy the food for everybody. Started as a sound engineer, then went on to production. And a big thing there is still attitude. What promotes you in life is attitude. Being able to be a mentee is what opens the door to have you mentor later on. I think sometimes we are afraid to say this, and it's so important. Knowing how to be an underling with a good attitude is the practice. I think many people assume that entrepreneurship comes out of bad attitudes. The one thing that disturbs me many times are the entrepreneurs who kind of say, and it's kind of popular, yeah, you're making money for someone else anyway, rather go make that money for yourself, as if it's a problem making money for someone. And I think we understand, financial wisdom needs us to be entrepreneurs, but if you can get over the issue of someone making money, because one day you're going to have to make money and you're going to want people happy and to assist that you make money. And here's the thing, they're going to pick up your attitudes that you practice them for years. So I remember I went then and I started working as a sound engineer, learned a lot. One of the things I did though is I began investing my money. Very soon I had my own studio, so I started doing some production. Um, got to do Zambia Msawa Mshoza together with Bulldogs as a producer, meaning I'm the music guy. So I literally produce the CD, right? So got to tell the singer how to sing, played all the instruments. Then you got to mix and master and put it on the CD. And then the company that owns the CDs, Bulldogs, and they go and promote it. So um, in early 2000s, then I produced Mzambi Msawa Mshoza. Because I had my own studio, then began producing TV music. There was a time that from early morning until evening on a Sunday, all the music you heard was mine. I remember there'd be like The Chat Room. That's my music at the opening, and then it was Cracks, and then it would just go on like that, where one was producing TV music because now I had a studio. And then I signed L, Nobody But You, wrote that song, put her on the map, wrote, produced that song, put her on the map. Then I signed Kelly Kumalo, who Qinisela wrote, produced, wrote and produced that song. Uh, and now by then also I had set up an independent company, Bonsai Entertainment, meaning we were, and now when I had L, we still partnered with a company called Cool Spot. And then by the time we signed Kelly Kumalo was made completely independently with only a distribution deal. So meaning we're responsible for 80% of 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 the pie. We get, I like how people say we get 80% of the pie. You never get 80% of the pie. You're responsible for it. Okay, so we get 80% of the pie. We're responsible for 80% of the business. And one company is doing the back end of distribution and managing that. And so literally we're a completely independent black owned company, because what we see on TV many times are black faces. But if you actually go check the numbers and say, what percentage of the full turnover are you responsible for? What percentage of risk are you taking? And often you find someone's 20%, and we're busy actually celebrating um, uh, a non-South African company, really. So we were blessed to have a full-on record company, and that was with Kelly Kumalo. And then CD sales started dipping around the world, and that it's good for an entrepreneur to keep abreast of the facts. So I mean, I started reading um, the KPMG reports, and you could see that CD sales worldwide are dipping, and it's clear that this is not a short-term process. And so one started moving more into human brand management, right? Meaning selling the brand more than selling the product, which is CDs. And then at that point we signed Kanyimbau, Dineo Ranaka. Dineo Ranaka was signed as when we signed Dineo Ranaka, she was about to get into lots of trouble. It was really reputation management, more like crisis management. So we signed at a crisis management point. So then we had Kanyimbao, Dineo Ranaka, Sonia Sidibe, and managing them as brands now. So I mean, I remember, for instance, there was a time that Kanyimbao and Kelly Kumalo were really fighting in the media and competing. Well, they had the same management company behind them. And I remember by then I was starting to move out of the business. The guy who was that I hired as Kelly's road manager, his name is Linda Mweketsi. Super dynamic, had come on board because he was just too good. And And I remember one of the things that we did was we had Kanyimbao, Kelly Kumalo in one stable, and they were fighting out there, and we literally then could go to companies, because it was human brand management, and go to companies and sell that, listen, these two are fighting. Do you want to be responsible for reconciling them? It will just cost you a few hundreds of thousands or more rands. And then I remember we had that KFC advert that had Kanyimbao and Kelly Kumalo. And also, as the advert came out, there was obviously the newspaper articles that they've reconciled, they've made peace, and boom, advert. So human brand management, being able to take a brand and do something with it. After that, actually, then I signed a guy by the name of Pastor Mpopo. He really rocked on YFM that time, very funny guy as well. And by the time his album was due to come out, Clorettes had offered us a 2 million rands deal, and he started doing adverts as the face of Clorettes and things like that. So the entrepreneurial journey is very exciting, because, and I'm talking about the death of CDs, because an entrepreneur is able to keep a positive attitude no matter what's going on, and able to keep dreaming. And those two things then automatically give birth to innovation. I think sometimes we put too much on innovation, and we try and master how to innovate. Nobody knows how to innovate. There are too many theories, because the truth of the matter is innovation is a natural outflow of a positive mindset and dreaming in the midst of testing circumstances. And so then in about 2011, 2012, I closed down that company because I felt I had a calling to ministry. And then I shut down for about 2 years, wrote a book on Facebook then called Conversations with Women. We sold gold copies, around 35,000 copies of that book. In fact, I think I have it right here. We sold 35,000 copies of that book, and that was just a project in between. But I think maybe let me anchor this so that I'm done in 5 minutes. I think if someone had to say, give 5 pointers that you want to give to an entrepreneur, I'd say number one, attitude. Attitude is everything. If you can win this, you can win this. Don't go out to conquer the world before you have conquered what's between your 2 ears. Don't run out to conquer the world before you have conquered this. You've got to be able to manage and know how to just go good attitude no matter what's happening. Number two, you've got to dream. Like, you've got to have a clear picture of where you're going. Number three is don't try anything. Don't attempt anything. One of the things, with each venture that I have been involved in, and I think I must say this, there is no venture that I have been involved in as an individual that has ever failed. There's no venture that I've been involved with by myself where I'm fully in charge. There's been some with partnerships, and nothing that I've done by myself that's failed. For a simple reason, I don't try, I do. And because I do, what that means is that I don't mind taking time waiting. I don't mind waiting 3 years to start a venture, because when I started, listen to me, my attitude's going to stay positive, and I'll keep believing it will succeed. I don't care if King Jong-un disagrees that I can survive. One of us must die, and it won't be me, because when I go, I do it. I don't try it. And I think when I went to music school, if I had gone to try, I would have dropped out when my family issues were a mess. When I decided that I'm going to speak, if I was trying, there's been lots of painful things along the way. I wouldn't have made it. Even with music, all along the way, there's been some tough points, but I stayed with it until the end when I could say I stepped out. In fact, I even announced my step out with a hit song. I closed my time in the music industry, and I was basically announcing that I'm going into ministry because I'm a pastor. But I wrote a song that goes, I want to tell my story to the world. So I was saying I'm going to go preach now, just talk, no more music. That song actually made the career of DJ Deer and Socks. And so then I close, and that's the third thing to say. Don't, as an entrepreneur, don't try, do. And so I took a break in 2012. Then I went into church, and even now there's a certain entrepreneurial venture I'm going to go into, but because I know once I press the button, come hell or high water, the environment shall obey me, not the other way around. Right? The market will listen to me, not the other way around. Do you know that the song for those who are my age, the song that made Kelly Kumar? You know that song, Metro FM refused to play it for 9 months, the market. Now, for 9 months, weekly, one was talking to Metro, getting disrespected. Stuff like, ECD, Johnny, Kelly Kumar, okay, now you want to check it? I'll call next week and see if you found it. Next week you call. I think this thing is lost. Oh, no problem. I'll bring it tomorrow. And then you go and you take it the next day, playing that back and forth for 9 months. After 9 months, the call came in. But why? So what? What's the problem? Why that's a hit everywhere. No problem. I will bring the CD to you. And when Qinisela went into Metro FM, it went into Metro FM today, was on the charts tomorrow, was on #1 by the third week because Metro had to catch up. Because when you are doing, here's what happens. You've got to have the attitude as an entrepreneur that the world is mine. I don't belong to it. It belongs to me. The market is mine. I'm not there trying to get it to accept me. I'm going out to tell the market what to do. And so then I took a break around 2010, and then I went into ministry around 2012, and still had the book running because at 35,000 copies, I think we stopped about 2 years ago to close that chapter officially. And I'm excited about what's coming up next, because there's some more entrepreneurial ventures I'm going to get into. Some of them connected to what we do with ministry, some in different ways. But I said I'd give you some pointers. I've got 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Here's some pointers. Number one is you need to, when I talk about go for it, I don't think you should just go for it foolishly. So let me give 2 pointers. I think number one, what's very important is you've got to tweak your machine. You've got to perfect your product market connection. You got to get clear, the market responds to this, like that. And a lot of those things you can't get from some theoretical thing. You've got to study and all of that, but you've got to try it. I'm a firm believer in try it small. Try it with a small group. Try it in some small way until you are an expert of how the market really connects to your product, right? And number two is then you've got to figure out clearly your system for either for scaling, or how you're gonna use leverage to either to scale or just to reach more people. It just depends on what the product or the service is. So you've got to figure out the leverage though that will happen. I often find some very good ideas, very good products, but people are working too small, right? So you've got to perfect it at a cellular level, but then you've got to be very clear about how to take it viral. I think if there's one thing you want to learn from this epidemic is the power of exponential growth, the power of leverage, because the virus is using us as leverage, right? It uses our cars, it borrows our movements, it borrows our friendships, our parties, our church attendance, our stadium attendance. That's how it spreads. Your business, you've got to, first of all, fix what the virus is, the actual product market connection, get very clear. And then you've got to figure out what's my system for distributing or spreading it or scaling it or taking it further or expanding it. And number three, I think every entrepreneur's got to be an expert in branding. Please, especially in this time that we live in, you've got to become an expert in branding, and of course you've got to be able to sell. You've got to be the entrepreneur has to be the best salesperson in their team. And so with just those few pointers, I think I'll close it right there. I think it will be better to engage with one another through Q&A. Thank you. Over to you, Dates Chap.
Thank you, my leader. So what I'll do now is I will once again switch off my video so that I can get close to the questions. Some of them came through privately and you may not be able to see them, but there will be others that everybody can see. So let's start with Mesh Mulaudzi. Mesh would like to know who inspired your entrepreneurial skills.
I see Sipongwenya on this group. I wonder if it's the singer Sipongwenya. Sipongwenya is a he was also, we worked with him. He was actually our artist for a short while. Who inspired my entrepreneurship? I've never seen my dad go to work. And I was born with my father being a pastor, which means the only model that I have of a grown man is a leader, because my father was pastoring and an entrepreneur. So I think the greatest influence would have to be Uvusi Shaw, my dad. Also, he's a salesperson. So the first time I knew what my dad did was when they gave him an what is that car? Opel Corsa. No, it's before Corsa. Monza. Opel Kadett. I don't remember. I think he was given an Opel Kadett because he was the number one Elna salesperson in the country. And then from then on, I don't remember him working 9 to 5 anyway. So I think my exposure comes from home.
Right. I'll get closer to. Is this? And please expand, because you've already spoke to it beautifully around how the virus uses us to be able to scale. But here's the question. What is your strategy as an entrepreneur in response to the current socioeconomic challenges posed by COVID-19? Also, what will be your advice to the SMEs post-COVID-19 economy? That's from Mesh Mulaudzi.
My advice to SMMEs post-COVID, and what was the first question? Please repeat it.
What is your strategy as an entrepreneur in response to the current socio-economic challenges posed by COVID-19?
Okay. I think the first strategy as an entrepreneur was to get with the program. Okay. Now everything I do has not suffered over this period. More bouts of growth. And I think before I say what the strategy, I've got to go back to what I said. Number one, it's got to be attitude. First of all, to have an attitude that says, hey, nothing has changed except that kunzima. Emhlabeni kunzima. The difference is that I choose to win. And this is where I'm going. And then the strategies come out of attitude. I think, let me say this again. Attitude does not come out of strategies. Strategies come out of attitude. No innovation will make you feel better. But the better you feel, the easier it is innovation becomes automatic. Okay. Attitude makes innovation automatic. So if you keep believing, now someone says, what would my advice be for SMMEs? I don't think I would talk to SMMEs because I don't know what an SMME is. I'd talk to the entrepreneurs and I'd say, just about Chuck Norris, go blind match. We can try, we can say all sorts of clever things, but the main thing to say here is, as in, funegabo Chuck Norris match. They say Chuck Norris tested positive for COVID, and the virus is right now in quarantine because Chuck Norris ushaye virus lona leku quarantine. But I would say keep the faith, just go, keep believing, keep taking a responsibility. And the answers will come after. If I speak to you about post-COVID, I'll be lying because I'll be speculating. But what I can say is right now, don't postpone life. Don't even think post-COVID because COVID is not in our hands. The levels are not in our hands. What is in our hands is what we do. And I'd say just be careful that right now, today, tonight, your plan for what you will do tonight is one that's accepting responsibility for what you can do. For when you concern yourself with things you have influence over, your influence increases. When you concern yourself with things that are outside of your control, your influence decreases. So just do what you can do today and do it well, and that sets you up for post-COVID. I hope I've answered the question. Beautiful, brilliant question, by the way.
Thank you. Let's take the next one from Lebogang Kumalo. Lebogang is asking, thank you, team and Mr. Shongwe. Is there anything that you're doing around grooming high school level entrepreneurs? Nurturing entrepreneurship from that level is a need.
Is there anything I'm doing for high school entrepreneurs? Yes, I am. I do a program through our church, though. It's called MB30, which means Millionaire by 30. And I put together, mostly it's been young people who come together and put, they literally buy shares with a certain amount. And then the process of it is that I go through board meetings with them and we create an entity over a year, and it has targets for a year later. So that's what I personally am doing. Beyond that, that's actually a wonderful thing we're doing, and I get to mentor them and teach them all my thought processes for building an entity. So yeah, I run a program called MB30.
And how many millionaires have you made out of that program?
Sorry?
How many millionaires have you made out of that program?
Now that program is in the process of making the first bunch of millionaires. It's about 9 months old.
Thank you very much, sir. Class is asking a very interesting question around, distribution and owning the distribution channel. So Classy Hopa says, how did you sell your books? By yourself or by a company? And if it's a company, which company is it? Access to market, route to market. What's your strategy there?
Repeat the part about access to market.
That is from me. I'm saying, how did you sell your books?
Oh, okay. You were summarizing. Okay.
Or by company, company.
Now, this is quite interesting. Okay, so first of all, no publisher. I was the publisher. If you'll excuse me, I was the publisher, and
one of the things that you can learn from entrepreneur is they are hands-on. They do. They don't just speak. They do. Welcome back.
They do. So we had a publisher. I published it myself. The first, say, 1,000 copies I sold on Facebook. There's that thing about being absolutely clear about product, market, right? I could tell you because I had figured it out with Baitengelani. It was a book for women called Conversation with Women. And what happened is all the copies were sold by direct sales. People deposited money, then we sent them a copy. No conversation, no, it was just system. It was we set up quite a nice system to make it happen. And we made it, we sold direct. Now I know normally when you say to people direct, and we sold on Facebook, there are many little pointers, because a lot of people do it, but often the problem is I've seen is many entrepreneurs don't build a system. That's why it can sound simple, but when you now look at the copies that went through it, it's because it was systematic. I see people who say for the price, inbox me. I mean, I had nobody inbox me. It has to be a system. It mustn't have me talking to someone, giving directions, answering a question. So it was literally, I'll post to say this, here's the number, it goes to a number. Someone just sent one message back, sent frequently answered questions back, posted the books on Mondays, and we just had copies and copies and copies. And I think we outsold every published author in that year, because I don't remember. I remember there was a time I tried to check, but not many people tend to sell over about 5,000 copies in South Africa. So yeah, we had no publisher, no distribution partner, but we did intentionally set up a system to supply the demand.
Thank you very much. This one nearly confused me. It's Bonsai Shongwe. That's some photo.
Does it look like Bonsai Shongwe?
Yeah, but and then says, how can I contact you rebranding?
You can drop me a message on this number. Let me give a number. You can drop a WhatsApp to this number.
Give me a second so that I can do it for everyone. Yeah.
Let me find it. It is not my cell phone, but I will get to it. It's 061.
Yeah.
133 6052.
Okay. 061 133 6052.
Done. WhatsApp.
Done. Right. Another branding question. This one is from Jimmy D. Is it a good time to rebrand a company since the pandemic has become a reset button, or just a re-evaluation of services and product is enough?
Is it a good time? So I, I really, I struggle with these catchphrases and jargon terms, not because I don't understand them, but because they begin to become they become that. They become catchphrases like rebrand. Okay, so let's hear the question again. I will first clarify what rebrand means to me and then answer the question. Is it a good time to rebrand the company now that we are in this phase, or should we just get new products?
Yeah, maybe for me, is there an opportunity to rebrand the company because you said that it's a reset. Can I reset by rebranding my company, or my reset can just be re-evaluation of services and products?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it depends on the specifics of each company. And I think the reset button is a reset button in terms of the power structures have been messed with. The market psychologically has been shifted. I think every one of us who are on this, just even this seminar right now, this technology was around 2 months ago, but none of us had actually ever jumped on a Zoom meeting 3 months ago, maybe. And if it's a Zoom meeting, it was certainly not a webinar like we have now. So people have shifted. So what does that mean? Because the market is not some fictitious thing. It's individuals. In fact, the market is people's minds. And so people have shifted, and that's where the reset button is, because there are new opportunities that didn't exist before. So it depends on what the situation is with your company. Then you may need to rebrand or get new products. But I think at this point, it depends. It depends on specifics of your company. Yeah, that's a good question. But I think I would have wished that kind of question I answer after a back and forth with the person.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have time. I will do the back and forth with you on it.
Okay.
Catherine Malwa says, thank you for your insight. Powerful indeed. If you could practically advise to the president today, what would your strategic advice to stimulate what would be your strategic advice to stimulate the economy and to transform the economy to make it more inclusive? As a minister of the gospel, what do you believe is Christianity's contribution to our country and continent today? So there is a religious angle and a political angle, and you are in between.
Yeah. So, and you are throwing me in between these big things of such size. So I think the one thing that I would advise, first of all, thank you very much. And I think that's a good question. And I'm glad you're enjoying our discussion. So 2 things I'll say. First of all, I think as an entrepreneur, one of the greatest lessons you must learn is to stay in your lane. So, and I think with these 2 questions, as excellent as they are, maybe it's a good time for me to demonstrate this principle. So what would I advise the president as far as the economy is concerned? I would not. And what is Christianity's, what was that second part, Christianity's role right now? And I'd say I'm not a specialist there either. But those are good questions. I wish you had the specialist on those questions to ask. I don't advise presidents. I'm good at making things happen no matter what happens. The president is outside of my influence. So I have not thought about what I will tell the president. I have thought about how I will win where I am no matter what the president has done. And I think that has happened for me. And so I would not really advise him. And in terms of how the church, what the church should do, I think that's outside of my pay grade as well. But the things that I have shared are my level of understanding, influence, and expertise. And so, sorry, I can't answer your question.
Okay. There you have it, Catherine. Fifi Ratebe says, I would love to leverage on the strategy you used for selling your books, as I also self-published a year ago, and I'm hungry to get the book out. It's called Shine Your Light. How could Fifi shine his light outside of just the pages between the covers? He needs to get out there. What would you say?
She wants to, so she'd like to glean from my strategy and sell because she's got her book.
To get Shine Your Light out there. Yep.
It's called what? Shine Your Light.
Shine Your Light. And that light can't just be between the covers. It needs to be in people's hands, right in their eye.
Yeah. Okay. So asking for advice. Let's give advice. Number one, gotta have a positive attitude. Number two, you gotta have a dream about your book. That's good. Number three, at least you say it's last year and you still want to do it. Perfect. So number four is you got to get very clear about who really wants to, who needs that book. I had a book called Conversations with Women, How to Have Mr. Right Wrapped Around Your Little Finger, which brings me to number four, packaging and naming of a book. People don't buy books, they buy book covers. Can say that again. People don't buy books, they buy book covers. Because people don't buy products, they buy stories. People don't buy specifications, they buy feelings. And so I would, that's one of the things that I think the reason why we sold 35,000 copies of this book, one of the key components is what the book was called. Okay, so you and how it's packaged really matters to see who does it reach exactly and who wants that message, and then go sell only to them. And then in terms of how to sell on social media, I think that needs another topic altogether. But I hope maybe to say number one, solve the product and its packaging first, right? And let's take it from there.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if your name is Jimmy. Is your other name Jimmy?
No.
Hey.
No.
Okay.
There's Jimmy D there.
Okay, then let me throw you into the conversation between Nonhlanhla Dube and Jimmy then. Nonhlanhla said, my son is a dropout from dramatic arts at Wits, and for the past 3 years, he's been studio recording his songs, but without success. What do you think he's doing wrong, Jimmy? Jimmy hasn't answered, so please answer.
Okay, her son has been in studio.
Is it, recording without success for the past three years?
Yeah.
Having dropped out of dramatic arts adverts.
Yeah. So yeah,
you don't have
3 years.
You don't have to get into Jimmy's conversation if you don't want to. I just wanted to.
Okay, I know. Then Jimmy, Jimmy, help, please. I think with the music industry, it's an interesting industry, and I think I'll leave it to Jimmy.
Sure.
Can I leave it to Jimmy?
Yeah, Jimmy has also given a website for Nonhlanhla to go to.
Oh, I see. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Jimmy. We appreciate
that. I think there is a question coming out from Fefa Muleleki from our YouTube channel. Says, as an entrepreneur, one of the important things is to know how to sell the idea and what we do. I would like to know, how do I differentiate personal branding and product branding?
Can you help me with understanding the question that yeah?
I think what I'm taking out of it here is that we can also brand ourselves to be able to sell as a brand. But at the same time, the product itself that we are selling can be branded. And a combination of those two could actually assist in selling it. To what extent, in your personal experience, has your brand as an individual perhaps was able to sell, say, the Kelly Kumalo's brand? How did that work for you?
Oh, I see. So a brand, you know, this is I am very passionate about branding, and as a result, but I struggle to use it as one of those popular words, right? Because once you say branding, man, you make me want to talk for 3 hours first about what is a brand. And therefore, when you say personal brand, what does that mean? And it may happen that after that 3 hours, you may be saying, hey, son, I really don't no longer think what I was thinking before we spoke. But nevertheless, let me answer in 2 minutes. So one of the components of a brand, one of the questions or the components of what is a brand is a human representative, right? So when you say McDonald's, you've got Lelia Popeye, Angazuban Lelia Popeye Lelia. And then it depends. If you are older, you may think of Ray Kroc. But if you are a child, the representative of McDonald's, ilo ya baba we Popeye, Oshai 4 that we sit on. Right, so what happens along the way is that Lelia Popeye li famous, and it's got nothing to do with burgers, but li famous ngoba li represent the greater McDonald's brand, and it goes on and on. You know, you talk Orlando Pirates, you think of his Coco Sakona, you Chiefs, then you've got to think of Babu Kaiser, and Babu Kaiser is as a brand on his own, but we don't really have a personal brand there. It's just that he's a component of Kaiser Chiefs. Now, then you have the need to brand yourself as an individual and not as a component of a product. So I think what we have to be careful is that these can assist each other. And they also can create different complications when your personal brand is now undermining the product. So there are some products that I've released that have even done well, and I've never mentioned them because I can't, you know, the association is underground. And so I think it does help though if you have a personal brand and then you impact products. Now, I did not promote myself. The first time I started coming out to the public was at the close of my business. I made it I stayed away from the public. I avoided cameras. I did not attend the summers when my artists were winning awards. So nothing that happened in Bonsai Entertainment was because Bonsai is anybody. In fact, it's only when I could not stop it anymore that more people began to know who Bonsai is. And so I think possibly by the time we sold this book, because the Bonsai name had sort of, some people had a connection, then they were keen to buy the book and to follow it. So I hope I've touched on the question enough to assist the person who's questioning to go forward.
Cool, and I think Oliver and Jimmy and Lebogang, fantastic conversation happening around just how to get together.
Perfect.
I want to pick on what Lebogang said for for 10 seconds and then hand over to you. When a brand that you are promoting passionately and you have put all your energy behind it goes sour, how do you do social distancing to make sure that it doesn't take you down with
you? Social distancing. Okay. So when the brand that you are connected to goes down, how do you distance yourself so that you don't go down with it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't I think, and maybe let me answer it like this because we have 1 minute. When things go wrong, don't defend yourself, defend the brand. So this is important for individuals because it's very easy that when things go south, we start defending ourselves, the person, as if we ever liked you or cared about you, right? Even up till now, we supposedly all love Mandela. Well, if he asked to borrow 500 rands, I think we would see that maybe nobody loved Mandela. If he had called all South Africa, all of us, 60 million of us, and sent us a text and said, "Kupukadime 500, I want to give to my grandson," we would realize, okay, maybe we never loved the guy, but we love the brand, right? So when things go down, when things go south, I think it's very difficult for entrepreneurs to not take it personally. And this is when the mistakes are made, because we start reacting, like distancing ourselves. And it's what here's the answer. You've got to be clear first about what do I represent as a personal brand, I understand in this case, and just keep putting that out there consistently. And by that, I mean then you are defending your brand, not yourself. Because once you get personal in this marketing space, you lose it. Once an artist starts saying, I remember back then I say, once they start saying, yeah, these journalists, they don't know we are people too. I know a career is starting to go downhill because the person is not defending themselves instead of defending the brand. And so Kanyimba was very good at this. There's no scandal that has ever affected Kanyimba's business because her response was not to defend herself. She would just respond and you would say, okay, no, Kanye. Kelly has survived this long as well for same reason. When things go south, Kelly, don't think Kelly's answer in the paper is the answer you would get if you were sitting with her. If you sit with her, say Marutin, she will answer differently. But if it's on Twitter or whatever, she will answer as how Kelly Kumalo must answer. In other words, defend the brand, not the person. So because I think when you're thinking about distancing, I'm hearing a fearful, reactive response trying to distance, as opposed to a proactive, attacking response that says, put out what you need the people to see long term. That represents what the brand is. That's my 2 cents worth on that. I wish I'd given to you that to answer.
We'll do that next time, but
you would have taken this one much better.
We are way over time, and thank you very much, Bonsai Shongwe. For the next conversation, please WhatsApp our number 082 088 5262. Thank you, everyone. This was another Empower Entrepreneur Digital Conversation, COVID-19 discussion, hosted by EmpowerWorks, empowering entrepreneurs. Good night, everyone, and thank you once again for joining us tonight. Bye-bye.